Hi, everybody. Looks like we are getting a few popping in, so we'll give them just a second to get all in.
Sounds good.
A few more.
This is so exciting to see everybody.
Yes. All right.
Hello.
We'll go ahead and get started. Just want to let everybody know we are recording the session so that we can post it later. So anything that is said will be recorded, but if you want to just type it in the chat instead or send it to me in a direct message, that way you don't have to speak on camera if you don't like, that's fine too. So we have Carolina Robinson here. She is our director, and she's going to be going through a little bit of a presentation about some basic facts with study abroad, and then open it up to questions and hear from y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brooke. And kudos to Brooke. She's kind of our liaison with the parents. And so she's really kind of wonderful and great to get any answers kind of bubbled up and answered pretty quickly. So again, this session is for parents and family. Let me see if I can get this to go ahead. So who are we? We are a small but mighty team on our campus. Really the people that I really want to focus for you all is this middle row with Sarah, Arian, and Lacey. They are our student facing advisors who are focused on a lot of advising with students, and they are per college. So Arian in the middle focuses on business students, Lacey on all ANS students, and then Sarah Kidwell does all of the rest of the other colleges. But again, Brooke is normally your main contact and liaison, so she's really wonderful. So where are we located physically? We are in between the Ferg and the Quad on BB Comer. You will see us. This is a picture of our building with all of the flags. But really, as you guys know, we've had to adjust and be more present to students virtually. So just some of our virtual options. Everything can be found on our website. We still offer in-person individual advising, but we can also offer Zoom advising. We offer virtual drop-in advising, and then we have a virtual front desk that is open from Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:45. This is for anybody to pop in, student, non-student, parent, family. So if they have any questions, please know that our doors are open physically, but also virtually, we are available to answer any kind of questions. Let's see. So where can I go? We get this question a lot from our students, and historically in our database, we have over 1,000 programs, and we've been, the past couple of years, been going to about 60 different countries a year, but this is going to change, and it is going to be affected by COVID, obviously, and we're going to talk about COVID a little bit later, but now there are some pretty extensive entry requirements for some countries, and so we are looking at those individually and know that some of the places where we have been able to send students in the past might be closed down for us in the next couple year or so because of COVID. So what can I do when I study abroad? So study abroad has such a huge umbrella. We have students who go and with our faculty members and go and take classes, UA classes. We have students who enroll in a university abroad and they transfer those classes back in. We have students who are doing research, service learning. We have some students who don't physically sit in a classroom and just do an internship or do a work experience abroad. And so all of that is kind of under our particular umbrella. So what can I study abroad? As I mentioned, we have basically a program for every major. And if students are going to enroll in a program or another university and transfer those classes back, we actually have created an international course equivalency table that's public. It's on our website. If you actually go and find this yellow icon on the top right, you can see that we have about 7,000 courses that have already been evaluated in the past 2 years for our students to get UA credit. So if your student has a Marketing 300 class that they need to take at UA, they could essentially put in that database Marketing 300, and then it pops up the 50 different locations and universities across the globe where they can get that particular credit. So our students are getting course credit for majors, minors, and electives. This has been our message to your students. We tell them that this is not vacation. This is called study before it's called abroad. And who wants to pay tuition if you're wanting to go for a vacation, okay? So our focus is always tied to credit and academics, and having obviously that broad experience to tie in with that. So when can I go abroad? Really, it's really wide open. We have a good number of students who study abroad after their senior year, after they graduated, and maybe they have a graduation gift where they do one experience the May or June after they graduate. We have some students who are freshmen, second semester freshmen who study abroad. We have law students study abroad, MBA students. So it really just depends on that student. It's very an individual choice. But it also depends on the type of program. So, you know, if you're going to go for a program to Bond University in Australia, that's only a semester program. They don't have a summer program. And so you would be looking at a 3-month or 4-month program versus some of our service learning trips are maybe a week or 2. So it really just depends. So this is one of our favorite questions. How can I afford to study abroad? And remember, this is academic credit. So any which way that an academic credit is being paid for usually means that it can apply for study abroad. So UA scholarships, financial aid can all apply. One of our passion projects in our office is working with the Veteran and Military Affairs to get the GI Bill to apply for a lot of our students. I think last year we had over 100 students on the GI Bill use federal funds for studying abroad. But we also do a lot of fundraising, savings, we have scholarships. This subject is so important to us is that we have a workshop every Wednesday called the Money Matters Workshop that we talk about financial aid and we talk about scholarships and we talk about the differences in costs and the hidden costs that might arise. So we have these very kind of detailed and intricate conversations with your students about the budget because this is very important topic. So really where to get started for students is that they just start on our website at studyabroad.ua.edu. It can get them to our database that has all the faculty-led programs. It can get them to appointments with advisors. We have a daily Study Abroad 101 session that goes live. So some of our alums, our students, run a 101 workshops. And this is basically before you even know where you want to go, before you even know what you want to do abroad. What does study abroad at UA mean? And so this is a daily 101 session that happens every single day, and they can find that information on our website. But we tell our students to start early. And in particular, now we have to start extremely early because we are dealing with some challenges that we have never really faced before. Some entry restrictions to some countries, obviously, but one of the most challenging things that we're really facing right now is passports and the time that passports are now taking to get processed. So my 2 daughters, I had to renew their passports in March and I got them returned in the end of August. So what a process that used to be 6 to 8 weeks is now close to a 5 to 6 month turnaround. So we are really pressing our students. If you're wanting to study abroad next summer, please start right now if you don't have a passport. Or if your passport expires within a 6-month period after your travel, all of those might kind of stop you from studying abroad. But definitely start early. We are here to talk to freshmen, and it might be their 3rd day on campus and they want to study abroad their junior year. We're happy to have those conversations. So a little bit about health and safety. Everybody in our office loves and has a passion for international experiences for our students. But there's a big and safety is as much as a priority as having these transformative experiences for our students. So my role is I'm responsible for every UA student that goes abroad on an international experience through UA. And normally that's about 1,700 students a year. And so there's a lot of things that we have in place in order to prepare our students. We do a lot of mandatory pre-departure orientations where we really inform and equip our students with experiences that they're going to have abroad. We register our students through insurance. We've got a very comprehensive medical and emergency insurance policy through Chubb. That's provided by our international service provider, which is International SOS. We enroll students into the federal STEP program that basically tells every American embassy in the country when Americans will be in the country and the dates and the travel. So we do spend a lot of time in pre-trip just with the students and preparing them. And during the trip, we are the go-tos for anything just reactionary, responding to crisis or risk management. And so we are the people that your students see. We talk to them over and over again, and we are still continuing to talk to students while they're abroad. We also, besides just the pre-trip and during trip conversations with your students, we do a lot of groundwork and surveying and getting a lot of information from the intelligence that we have access to, whether it's the State Department, the CDC, the World Health Organization. These are just some of the American focused, I would say, intelligence that we have, but we always cross-reference things with the UK, with Australia, just to make sure that we're getting a consistent message. And so it kind of goes into a little bit of the study abroad and COVID and what happened. So at the university, our office was dealing with COVID probably before everybody on campus was really. We had a student, we had our lone student who was going to spend an entire semester in China in January. And because our travel emergency policy, when the State Department triggers a level 4 warning on a country, then we are then to remove students. So we had to evacuate this student in January back to the United States. And then in February, we had a couple of trips that, left to Seoul, Korea and Italy. We had 55 students in Italy who landed in January, and by February, we were then now removing these particular students. At the same time, we canceled all faculty-led summer programs. So it was pretty intense. We had in total about 300 UA students abroad in the spring, and we had to, along with bringing students home, we had to make sure that their academic continuity plan still connected. We didn't want students to come home and lose a semester of classes. It wasn't their fault that coronavirus happened. It wasn't their fault that the State Department happened, but there was a lot of managing all of these students and all of their transcripts and all of their financial aid while these huge organizations like the Department of Education was setting standards on financial aid, and Veteran and Military Affairs was setting standards on their aid as affected to COVID. So it was an intense time for us this spring, but it's part of our role that we do here. We oftentimes evacuate students every year, and not because of the pandemic, but because we've had broken bones or we had appendicitis, things like that happen. So it's part of kind of our role. For 2021, we are doing a basic and in-depth review of most of our programs. We're really excited. We have 150 students who are signed up to study abroad for the spring semester, so leaving in a couple of months. But we are extensively going to every single country and figuring out, what's the U.S. citizens, what's the restriction on U.S. citizens? Is there a quarantine that's required? What do the airlines look like? Can we get students in, but are the airlines looking bad to get students out, right? We're looking at local medical access. We're looking at social requirements. In the US, it might be socially okay for us to be, 6 foot distance and a mask, but is that the requirement for other countries? So there's lots of things that we're doing kind of in preparation for our programs to depart, and cautiously optimistic that our programs will go. But we're doing a lot of the work on the front end. And for the summer in particular, that's when most of the UA programs, the faculty-led programs happen. Normally we have about 50 a year. this is the time that we're starting anyways to prepare for the itineraries and getting the contracts. So we're having to do that and kind of COVID preparation at the same time. So lots of conversations and lots of discussions and lots of planning. One thing that I wanted to kind of highlight in particular, one of Brooke's amazing projects last year, was that she wanted to make sure that there was a landing spot for family and parents on our website. Because, when you come to the university, everything is focused on the students and FERPA and, your student is, now an adult. And I get it. I have a 26-year-old stepson, and sometimes I wonder if he's an adult. So we're at the point where we love to talk to parents and love to talk to families, and we've set up a family resource page on our website. If you go to the Explore page, you'll see kind of this particular thing that pops up. And it has a lot of information that's specific to you all, but also some of the resources that tie into what your students see as well. And so, it does take a village on our campus to get a student abroad. And so we understand that you guys are a part of that village, and you may not be on campus. And that's part of a lot of the conversations that we have with our students. Are your parents on board with you going abroad? Or are your parents on board with you with this decision? Just so you guys know, we have an open door policy for parents to talk. We are happy to have discussions about locations and kind of what we're thinking about. But one of the greatest resources really to talking to your students, and that's sometimes a little bit hard. I have also 2 younger girls, and it's like, how was your day today? I was fine. Okay. And so we actually have topic starters where you can ask your students some particular questions that gets kind of the information that you want out. But it's our page that's really specifically geared towards the families. So that's really kind of studying abroad in a quick nutshell. I wanted to leave a lot of time to hear from you all and answer any questions that you guys have that may be hovering. I know that Brooke is helping to moderate this session. So again, if you guys want to just unmute yourselves and say hello or pop down below in the chat, we're happy to answer any questions.
I'll start. I'm Shelley Carr. My daughter is Ansley, and she is a junior. She is a dual major. So my concern is she's picking one major to study abroad at Roehampton, her dance major. Is it possible to still work with the business, to get her marketing major requirements already,
Absolutely. And actually, Roehampton is one of our strong partners, and they're a pretty comprehensive institution. Mm-hmm. So what I would have you do is, I don't know, Brooke, if you could throw up the link to the database on there. I would go in and just type in Roehampton, and I think we probably, and this is just me guessing, we probably have over 70 courses approved through Roehampton. So if she doesn't find the particular courses that she needs, in particular for the marketing, you said marketing or business major required.
Yeah, well, it's marketing, yes.
Okay. She can get courses pre-approved. So what we can do is go into Roehampton course of schedule and say, oh, well, I think that this class looks like something similar to here at UA. We send it in through the process, and UA will spit back and say, yes, this counts as this. And so she knows what she's going to get when she comes back. And you brought up a great point. We expect that every student knows what course they're going to earn at UA prior to their departure to that home institution. We don't expect our students to go abroad and take these courses and then come back and are surprised about what courses they get. That's just entirely a waste of money. So that's why we built this particular database. And so she could pick the courses that will give her the UA requirements at Roehampton, and business will be pretty easy to get done.
I just took a quick look and, oh, sorry, Shelley, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's right. And timing wise, we're still on track for spring?
Yeah, I think we are still on track for spring. I just need to, I was spending some time on Germany's embassy page. So I haven't looked at the London or UK's page because, you know, of Brexit, so they're not part of the Schengen states anymore. So just we'll be reviewing those entry requirements and figuring out what needs to happen for our students and letting them know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looks like we have around 87 courses for Roehampton specifically already evaluated. And like we said, that's fluid. So anything that she found that she would want to do, she would then submit and could get them approved as well and added to that list. And just with a quick glance, there were several marketing options already in there. I did throw that link in the chat, so y'all feel free. Y'all can click it as well. And you can search by courses or institutions or locations. It can get pretty broad quickly.
Stop sharing so we could all see. Okay. So.
Hi, Carolina. Thank you for all that information. That was great. My daughter is a sophomore. She's a political science major. And I think she went to the program or sat in on whatever yesterday virtually that you guys had. So she's starting to get some information. So I guess I'm wondering, does she talk to someone in particular that's focused on political science that can help her determine what the more common places that people go or programs they have? I think this course equivalency thing is great. I was not aware of that before, so we'll definitely dig into that a little bit, but curious if there's just some general guidelines for that major.
Yeah, absolutely. So her contact would be Lacey Sellers, and I'll let Brooke kind of throw Lacey's information up there. And she's the contact for ANS. The beauty of political science and the madness of political science is that it is literally the major that allows something like 30 electives. It is that major that a student can take courses that are ranged, you know, out to here. And so sometimes it's difficult to say, you know, where have past poli-sci students have gone, because they are literally everywhere. So if she comes in and with Lacey and says, okay, I can only go to the summer, or I can only go to Europe, or I'm really focused on, I want to go to law school. So I want to, you know, there's a lot of institutions in Europe that law is a undergraduate degree and not a professional degree. So she can have access to some really interesting law classes that might come back here as an elective because that department can take it. She can do that. Or I'm really interested in criminal justice. Where should I go? Or I'm really interested in forensics. I don't know, something. Or, you know, I want to work on diplomacy between countries. That's kind of where we can kind of come in and really hone down the offerings for poli-sci, because it really is endless because of the UA degree is so kind of wide open here.
Great, thank you. That was very helpful.
Sounds good. Thanks for that question.
Carolina, we did have one pop in through the chat from Sherry that said, is there still time to apply for the spring?
Yes, but we are kind of on the back end of the deadline. This week we have the deadline. I think it might be Friday the 17th, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday the 18th, for our exchange programs. And this is where a student enrolls in another institution for a semester, and they pay their normal UA tuition here, but they just pay their housing and meals there. So that deadline is on the 17th. And for any other program that's not an exchange program, we're like an affiliate or a non-affiliate, which means that they're going to pay all of their funds to that program and not pay tuition at UA. That deadline is October 1. So make sure to get those students to come and see us pretty soon so we can kind of get them started on that process. Great question.
And are most programs the exchange program?
No, not really. Okay. We have 30 exchange partners, but our students who do exchange are probably among some of our smallest numbers, because we have to make sure that they are balanced. Because, you know, like if we send 2, we have to receive 2, and those numbers kind of, that's how they work. Sometimes or oftentimes, some of our out-of-state students find that a program with an affiliate might be more cost effective because they can probably get an entire cost of a program with tuition and housing and insurance around the price of what they're paying just UA tuition here. So if you're, so sometimes the affiliate programs are really a little bit more cost effective for some out-of-state students. But this is the conversations that we have with your students. We show them all the options and say, look, this makes sense. Or sometimes I have some students who pick affiliates and I'm like, if you go on an exchange program, that's going to be the cost of in-state tuition. So we're not going to do that for you in the fall. So it really just depends. Thank you, Brooke, for putting up that information up there. So she put basically the name and contact for everyone and who your student needs to contact for their colleges. And listen, feel free to jump in on their Zoom conversations, right? If they're meeting with their advisor on Zoom, they can send you the link and you guys can go in there and have those joint conversations together. And we have parents come face-to-face who are able to and come and meet with us. So again, we're an office kind of full of parents, and so we understand that this needs to be a village, and we want to make sure that that information is out there and available for you all. So feel free to jump in on their advising meetings.
Caroline, I have a question. Can you guys give an example of some of the service learning programs? Like what are the offerings of that?
Sure. So we do a couple of things. One of our really great service learning projects that we had that I hope to bring back, and this was pre-COVID, was there's a physician in Birmingham who has kind of these hospitals in Nicaragua. And so we had biology students who were also Spanish minors going and doing service learning, kind of doing some of the stuff with the clinics there. We also manage the risk and safety for all of the service learning projects for the Center of Service and Leadership. So we have students who go to, in the past, they've gone to Ghana, they've gone to the DR, they've gone to a couple of places in Central America. They might be building homes, building schools, kind of think of like a Habitat for Humanity kind of thing. And then we had this really interesting service learning project in, I think it was Ecuador or Peru, but it was kind of in the Amazon, and it was engineering. They were focusing on building things with bamboo and recovering cities that were hurt by some kind of, I can't remember if it was a natural disaster, but they were rebuilding cities. So it was about 30 engineering students who went down there. So, working with bamboo was a new medium for them because they had never seen it. It's here, it's like wood or concrete. And so it was a new thing for them to learn. Yeah. Thank you, Brooke, for putting that service learning sample on our website. It's a weird link, so you might have to copy that whole thing.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes Zoom will let you hyperlink stuff, and then other times it just doesn't quite work. So you might have to just highlight and copy.
I'm happy to answer this question about speaking about some of the professor faculty-led programs. So that's kind of who I manage. I manage all of the faculty for the faculty-led programs. And what's exciting is that we've had programs that have been running for years. I think our Oxford program has been running for over 40 years. And we have programs that bubble up every single year and start something. So this year we have a woman named Brittany Gilmer. She is criminal justice. She used to work in Kenya for 5 years, and she's going to be looking at piracy, like maritime pirates and piracy for poached animals. So it really is these faculty members who are doing specialized trips in the areas and in their fields of study. And it's also UA credit. And the best thing about our faculty-led programs is that everybody gets charged the in-state rate for those programs. So sometimes it's cheaper for a student to take that course abroad than it is here. We've had a program that's been running for 20 years in Spain. It's a Spanish language program. It's 6 hours. If a student were to take that course here as an out-of-state student, it's it's 1,000 a credit hour. It's $6,000 to be upstairs in a Spanish class just for that tuition. Or for, I think it was $48.50 last year, was 5 weeks in Madrid, 6 credit hours, your housing, most meals, a conversation partner, excursions, yada, yada, yada. So we have normally about 900 students a year doing faculty-led programs, and they're our most popular programs. So what's also cool too is I think that faculty member is here on campus, so our students can have that conversation with them, and then we kind of require them to get together with their groups and their student groups beforehand. So by the time a student is going on an experience, they've already made friends, they've already made plans, they might have somebody who they can fly over together with, those kinds of bonds are already started to form in the spring semester. And they're mostly in the summer. We do have a few that are sprinkled in the spring semester, but most of them happen in the summer. Great question.
I think a common question that we get with faculty-led as well is students are always asked, well, how do I get on their list? How do I get on their radar? And we just tell them, reach out to the faculty directly. Their information is clearly printed on our website on each program page. Tell them to reach out, and because they want to market to your students. They just can't get in touch with everyone all the time.
Yeah, they love to talk about their programs. Yeah. And again, we are the resource to answer any questions about well, how do I pay for this? What's the scholarship like? I mean, we do above and beyond what we can for our students. We have students every year who have extensive travel experience. We have students every year who've never been on a plane. We had a student a couple of years ago that had never left the state of Alabama, and she was 18 years old. And so I can't tell you how many times I was just calling, the different colleges and saying, what can you guys offer? Can you match a scholarship? Can you do this? Can you do that? Because ultimately we want to see our students abroad. So please don't think that money is, oh, I just can't think about doing this particular program because money's just not an option. Every Friday I host a Gilman workshop, and it's for students who are Pell Grant students. And I tell them, I stand before them and said, I'm a Pell Grant student. I came to college, I had $7 in my bank account as well, but here I am, and we're going to find ways to get you abroad. And last year we had 10 students win the Gilman Scholarship, which is up to $5,000 for that award. So we love to talk about kind of money with your students, or just making this capable. Sometimes they're scared. Sometimes they need a buddy. Sometimes they need somebody to connect to get on that plane together. Sometimes a student might have they see a regular counselor here, or they might have a diagnosed mental health condition. We have set up things abroad, and we are allowed to do that with our insurance company. So really we've actually had 2 students go abroad for a semester with their companion animals. We had one of our students went to Ireland on a wheelchair. So we're that kind of people in this office, that we really believe that this experience should really be for everyone. So.
I just posted a link that goes to our EA grant. So that's open to any of your students to apply for any program. And that's something that we run in our office, and it's very important to us. And it's a passion project of mine and Carolina's to make sure that we can help somehow. Typically award amounts are from $250 to maybe $1,700 for longer programs. And we know it's not a ton, but our goal is to help in some way with as many students as possible. So we encourage all of your students to absolutely apply for that. It's a really short essay just talking to us about why it's important for them to go abroad.
I'd love to hear more, and maybe if you guys don't mind, we would love to reach out. We always want to make sure that we're providing the correct information for people. One, because we live in the study abroad world a lot, and so we're always kind of critical and saying, does this make sense to somebody who's never done an abroad experience? Or does this make sense? Does this make sense to us because we know what all this jargon means, but what does it mean to others? And so I would love to just bounce ideas off of parents to say, check our website and what is missing? What's the stuff that you can't see? What's the stuff that you'd love to hear from us? Because we have a very active Facebook parent group, and we're happy to engage with that parent group anytime to talk to you guys about this, because again, we understand that this is it's scary to have your student do this process alone. And my two will eventually study abroad because I'm going to force them to, but I know that, you have to work jointly and together to make sure to set up that student to be successful. So, if you are willing to just be an ear for us that we can just bounce some things off of, and feel free to put your email there in the chat, and I'll have Brooke kind of capture it. Just to say, what are we missing? What don't you see? What do you have questions about? Because we'd love to kind of answer it. And probably the easiest thing would be just maybe, Brooke, you want to put your email there, and then everybody can just shoot you an email, or that way too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelley.
I also have access to your login from the backside of what email you use to get here, if it's available. So I can shoot everyone a generalized email, and feel free to reach out. And if not, that's fine. But we'd love to hear from y'all. Like Carolina said, we want to cater our message to all types of groups, including families, and support people. I like the way somebody in our office said, the adults. Do you have an adult in your life that's nervous? Because even though they're adults, they have adults that are nervous in their life.
Right. Yes. I mean, we asked them that. We said, okay, raise your hand if you have a passport. And they all raise your hand. And then I said, okay, raise your hand if you know another family member who has a passport. And they're like, and I said, look, we had a situation last year where we had this poor, unfortunate student who got abroad to, I think he was in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, and had a random accident. He was washing his clothes and kind of lost footing and toppled over the washing machine, and he kind of broke his knee. And we got approved through insurance to have a non-medical evacuation, where we got to send a family member to Kyrgyzstan and to pick the student up and to bring him home. And I called his mom and I said, all right, we can get you on a plane in 4 hours. We just need you to pack and go to this, airport that's 20 minutes away. And she said, I don't have a passport. And I was like, oh, okay. Give me a second. And we got another guy out of Chicago. He was we got him to go, and it ended up being fine. The student got home and actually went abroad again. But the point is that, gosh, that student would have loved to have had his mom kind of arrive there in that difficult situation. So we asked them, like, is there a loved one, an adult, someone else in your life that has a passport too? Mm-hmm. Make sure that we know who that is, because accidents do happen, but we want to make sure that they're kind of taken care of as much as we can. Great. Yeah, go ahead.
My next question may be for advisors. But it's all about kind of the timing, because obviously if you go abroad to another university, you're going to follow that university's schedule and still have to keep up with getting classes for when they return, that kind of thing. So how does that work with the,
advising piece?
Be here.
Absolutely.
If you're getting a prerequisite, say at Roehampton, and it's not showing up in time to register for the class here, does that, how does that work?
Yes. So that's a very great question. And that's one of the reasons why we say start early. And if a student is going to be abroad for a semester, we would typically like to see them a year in advance. So if they're going abroad for spring, the spring prior, they're in our office. And we tell them that it takes a village in UA to get them abroad. So it's them, it's us, and it's their academic advisor. And their academic advisor can tell them specifically what you said. These are the courses at UA that you have to take in this sequence, in this order. This is not allowed as a transfer credit. I mean, business is something like no more than 2 of 4 classes have to be of their particular major electives, right? There's specific degree requirements. But then they'll say, hey, any of these other classes, you can take them out of sequence. And so once that conversation has been had, then they come back to us and say, we say, okay, give us that list of those courses that you can take out of sequence. We ask them to get the double of the amount of courses approved that they're actually going to take. So if somebody's going to be abroad for 4 classes, you need to get 8 approved. Because you might not know, just like here, you get there and that person who was teaching that one class is now on maternity leave, or, you know, A, B, C, D. So we want them to have a very kind of plan A, plan B, plan C grouping of courses to take abroad. And then part of that conversation is with the academic advisor is saying this, hey, second semester, sophomore year, that just can't happen. You need to take these classes. You have to be here at UA. But, you know, second semester, junior year, that might be a place where you do it. So don't take these requirements or save your, you know, electives or save this Marketing 300 course because you can take that abroad, right? So we work with the academic advisors to make sure all of those plans are kind of set in place. And then also with the choice of institution. If they're double majored, they need to go to a comprehensive institution that they can get some of the requirements for those other courses as well. It's a great question. We also have a course equivalency workshop every Wednesday. So besides money, we have a visa workshop and a course equivalency. So we talk about courses every Wednesday and kind of talk about them through that process, and along with just meeting with students individually. Sometimes they get a little bit more open to discussions with other students there. So we have a Wednesday workshop that happens every single week. Awesome. I've got Sarah who's popping in. She's one of our advisors for all the other colleges. So she just kind of missed the advising question. It's okay. But she's popping in and just kind of, she's there. If you guys want to just to see a face to the name. What other kind of questions do you guys have? There she is. There's Lacey. She advises for all arts and sciences in the back. So thank you. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Not a problem.
And that course equivalency on Wednesdays, that's Zoom right now for the students?
Yeah.
That's on your website for them to sign up?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's on their website for them to sign up. It's probably something that I can show you guys actually. Let me do that.
And I did just post a link to our events page. So there's a calendar up top that we update. And so then we have underneath an explanation of the different events that we're having that week. So it explains the course equivalency workshop, the visa workshop, everything like that to you all and to your students, and they can sign up that way.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you guys that course equivalency workshop because the database, because it's really kind of powerful. This is on our website, and as I mentioned, you see that big yellow kind of sign. Let's see, you click on that. There, we actually have a little video that you can watch to just kind of basically run through what I'm going to run through. And again, this is public facing, so I'm not sure if it's going to show as much as I want it to show because it looks like my screen's a little bit little, but for your student that needed that Marketing 300 course, as just an example, if you type in Marketing 300 course, you will see that 66 courses have been approved for this Marketing 300. You can sort this list by lots of really interesting things, by city, by country, by host institutions. And if I click on one, if a student were to go to the University of Cape Town and take BUS 2010F, this particular course for 18 credits, which sounds crazy to us because it's a different system, they're going to get Marketing 300. So, and 3 hours awarded at UA. So this has been kind of, again, one of our projects that took us about a couple of years to get set, but has been phenomenal for us. You can just type in University College Dublin as an institution, as a university. You can see these are all UCD courses. We have 375 courses approved in all areas: chemical engineering, art history, math. You could actually just type in a topic and search for courses. So if people want to take 2 Harry Potter courses, you know, there's stuff that can pop up. I don't remember, what was the student who wanted to do, was it criminal justice? This is pressure trying to type and spell in front of you all. But this is just finding the name of the course with criminal justice on there. So it might be that if you see this as CJ, if I just type in CJ, I now have 53 courses because all of these courses are available and they might not have criminal justice in the name. So lots of really great, interesting programs. This particular one is in the UK. A lot of the criminal justice focused programs are in the UK, but Australia, again, you could just type in and put in a country. So if we put in, well, let's just do a city. I just type in Brisbane, 204 courses had been approved kind of in Brisbane. So sometimes students might put in Florence, and there's a bunch of different universities that pop in Florence, in Italy. We have a lot of universities that we work with in Florence. So, you know, lots of options. So this is definitely something that play around with, and see, if you have the listing of the courses that your student needs to have to get a UA degree, just start pumping in some of those classes to see if they're available here. And again, if they're not available here, that is okay. We're just going to have to go through the process to get approved.
Another thing that you can look at is if your student is applying through an affiliate, they're going to have course listings on their websites as well. So you can take those in and start plugging them in here as well to see if they've been evaluated. They might not have been evaluated yet, and that's fine, but it can also be just a starting point for you to kind of look at and understand where things are headed.
Mm-hmm. And once a student is approved, they can evaluate courses that is open to them. They can evaluate, I think it's 8 to 10 at a time once they get those approved, and then they can resubmit. But you know, if they're working with maybe Lacey as a sophomore, and they know they want to go their junior year and they don't have an application in, there might be something that we can do where we can go ahead and start approving those courses on the front end. Because one of her projects has been working on getting some core classes approved. So we can also approve without an active application. These are all great questions. Any others? Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I think Brooke copied everybody's emails down, and thank you for being our group and being open to just popping some ideas and helping us to make sure that you guys are getting the information that you need. And thank you for supporting your students and sending them to us. We love having them on campus. So thank you guys again. I really appreciate this time.